Hello and welcome. I am Paul Hamlin. I'm editor of Logistics Business. Welcome to the Logistics Business virtual show. We have a series of panels talking to experts from around the industry, around the world, on the key themes of warehousing, logistics, storage. And a key one for us now is the future of warehousing, lights out, robotics, automation. And I'm delighted to say we have four very well-informed experts from around the world to talk to you about that subject today. If you wish to ask questions, please do use the chat facility that you will see on your screen there, and our experts will be delighted to answer your questions for you. So let me start perhaps by asking everybody on our panel just briefly to introduce themselves and what they do, and then we will move on. So let me start with John. You tell us all about yourself.
Yes, thanks very much, Paul. My name is John Baker. I run the sales in the UK for Locus Robotics. We're an award-winning multi-bot picking system, which basically means that workers can do more accurately than they do currently. Locus brings the work to the worker, eliminating sort of unproductive time, and basically improves productivity in the various warehouses. So, as we go through today, I'll highlight some of those points.
Okay, thank you. Cecilia?
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so I'm Cecilia Chen. I'm from Kenjik Intelligent Technology. We are a Chinese company focusing on providing the solution and the equipment for smart logistics and intelligent manufacture. So basically we do two things. One is the automation for the e-commerce and logistics industry. So we have all types of the equipment, including the cross-dock sorter with the sorting capacity from 10,000 pieces per hour to 40,000 pieces per hour, and then diverter sorter for less sorting capacity, then the singulating system for organizing the mixed package and make a queue out of it, so then all kinds of conveyors. And second part is the automation in the storage warehouse and the order fulfillment there. So we have ASRS, mini loads, all types of pallet and roller conveyors. So basically we help our customers to improve their site management and the customer satisfactory via the automation. So hope today we can bring some new ideas to our customers or potential partners in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. Jan?
Hi, my name is Jan. I'm CEO of Photonio. We have developed, the first fully automated fulfillment center, also, micro fulfillment centers. We combine mobile robotics and robotic arms, I hope today, it's perfect topic for us, and really looking forward to talk about it.
Thank you, and Gavin.
Hello, so I am Gavin Harrison. I'm the UK sales manager for Element Logic. So Element Logic, we mainly deal with the auto store solution. So we are one of the distributors of that across Europe, which very briefly, the auto store system is sort of a goods to man ASRS system. It's sort of the original cube storage, where basically everything is stored in bins inside of an aluminium grid, and then the robots dig around, they bring the bins directly to the operator, so it reduces the need for any walking up and down the aisles and things like that, and helps increase hugely the productivity of the pickers, so that they can be not only picking, but picking and packing and using that time in the most effective way possible.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to our main theme then, we're talking about lights out warehousing. Perhaps Jan, you could tell us tell our viewers and listeners what lights out warehousing actually means.
Probably I would prefer something I call, weak definition, because strict definition would be, somehow very, very difficult to achieve. So weak definition is something like majority of processes are digital and automated, and here I just want to explain that, yes, of course, there's a lot of automation and robotics, advanced technologies available, but still, humans are super flexible, super intelligent, and they can still help very much with the exceptions and a lot of other things in the warehouse. So that's why I call it majority of processes. And if I should try to define some kind of levels, probably I would tell that level number 1 is something where we automate mostly walking or traveling. So it's mostly about movement of those goods inside of the warehouse. I'm usually focusing on fulfillment warehouses. Now, second level would be would add some automated picking, for example, using robotic arms. Suddenly we are not only replacing or automating human feet, but also human hands. So really picking, but I mean human hand picking. So that would be level number 2, and probably level number 3 would be automating walking, picking, and consolidation. So really end-to-end process. That's my view on these levels of automation and lights out warehouses.
So there are people in a warehouse in a lights out warehouse in your definition, just not doing the roles that we would normally expect.
Yes, I would say what is everybody is trying to automate the most critical, tedious, and boring jobs, and something that really makes financial difference in the end. So our mission is really to create the most efficient warehouse on the planet, and so in the end, you are not going to automate every single small task inside of that warehouse. It's simply not efficient. It doesn't make sense. I think it's good to be pragmatic here, and that's why I tell that I like to have this big definition. Otherwise it would be kind of virtual. It's not going to happen in upcoming years, and it doesn't make sense. It's perfectly fine to have 95% of automation.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think the next best thing then is to find out from each of you about what it is that your companies bring to the warehousing landscape and how they make a difference for customers. So let me start with you, John, from Locus Robotics. Tell us about Locus, what you do, and how you make a difference for customers.
Okay, thanks very much. Locus is the leader in digital transformation in the warehouse. It delivers flexible operational scalability and time to value. And the way we do that, and a little bit that's been mentioned here already, is increasing the productivity and the order fulfillment. We all know it's a huge thing in these days over what's happened over the last couple of years and how things have increased. Locus looks to improve the workplace and various things, not only health and safety, but picking, but basically supports one of the biggest things we have in the world today, which is, staffing levels and being able to recruit staff. Just across the UK, every customer you talk to, needs 70, 80 staff to be able to manage their order fulfillment, and they're struggling just to get hold of half of them. So this is where our Locus solution comes to the forefront. We eliminate the unproductive and wasteful walk time, making work easier and faster. We bring, obviously, the bots to the people within the aisles, and the picking takes place, and basically they focus on what they do best, while the bots then travel either to the next location or back to some drop-off area. So really, because our bots don't follow anything or follow motorized carts, the order can be obviously fulfilled, picked, and then sent to a packing area quicker than other solutions. When you look at warehouses, 95% currently of warehouses are not automated in any way. So you're getting a low productivity, struggling to manage peaks. Again, over what's happened over the 18 months, e-commerce has gone through the roof, and people are struggling to keep up with their customers' expectations. So, that's where we come in to the forefront with our data and our continuous improvement to support the customers in their e-fulfillment.
I see. Now, I think we should also, perhaps by going around the panel, just to let's also get definitions of the different types of robots, because you see that you always see different jargons, acronyms. Now, for instance, I think I'm right in saying with Locus that you are AMR, autonomous mobile robots. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So
yeah.
how would you describe those? What is the sort of characteristic of an AMR?
Well, you can see in the picture behind my head what one of our robots looks like. As I mentioned earlier on, the robots do the work. So, they can be configured in various ways. So they can utilize totes that the customer currently has, or we can redefine that solution with the customer. And ultimately, we integrate with the customer's WMS. That WMS integration means it allows Locus to look at its own algorithms and work the best picking path of their orders throughout that day. And our bots are inducted into the process, then they go off on their journey to the picking areas for the associate to pick the goods at that time based upon the system, and then obviously deliver them back to a packing or consolidation area. That's where we win and where the customer wins from our product. The bot basically works on its own, has limited interaction other than an iPad where they're given instructions on what to pick and scan the goods accordingly. So ultimately, that's where the customer gets the time. Their associates can walk normally up to 10 kilometers a day. We're cutting that down considerably, probably by over 60%.
Okay, so you're no good for their physical fitness then, if you are for the.
Well, it's funny you say that. I was actually with a gentleman and a customer last week, and he turned around and he said he goes through a pair of shoes every couple of months. That's how much walking he's doing, but he has lost 4 stone in the process. But his honest answer was, I can't keep this up for long. I can't keep walking 10 miles a day for long.
And we know that staff health is an increasing issue for companies as well, staff health and well-being. Coming on, I just want to ask you a question on what you said there. You talked about your system, Locus's system, integrates with a company's WMS. Will they integrate with any WMS, or do you recommend that WMS is upgraded when they take on your systems?
No, there's no necessity to change WMS. We generally can integrate with any WMS. Obviously, they all have their different parts of the business, but generally our teams work with the WMS provider or the customer to work the best path for them to download their order profile to us. That allows us to work our magic, and that's where the customer gets their benefit. So really, that we do have partners that we can recommend, but ultimately there's a way forward.
And how long might an implementation time be typically? I know it varies from customer to customer, but even so.
I'm in sales, so I'll say as quick as possible. You go to our implementation team, they'll probably say longer, but generally we have done it in 4 weeks. That's a very basic one, but generally 3 months from a whole process of, starting the project, analyzing the workflow, producing the concept, and then going through the WMS integration to a testing and go live phase. You'd look at roughly 3 months.
And what would you say return on investment is? And again, I know it varies, but what would you argue?
Well, generally, people can get the return on investment between 6 months and a year. But again, like you say, it does really, really vary. It depends on the customer profile, the setup, the layout, the staffing levels. There's a huge amount, the equipment they use. There's a huge amount of aspects you take into consideration within the modeling and everything. But the key here is that Locus will do that work for you. Myself and the solution engineering team will go through that process, and we'll show you what you do today. We'll model against it. We'll model against what that would look like with Locus Robotics, and deliver you the expected return on investment as part of that profile.
Okay, thank you, John. I want to come next to Gavin, if I may, because I know, Gavin, that you also espouse a robotic system, but which of course is very, very different to the one that John was talking about. So it's a great opportunity for us to hear about how your system works. And of course, I'm talking about AutoStore, as you mentioned. So maybe tell us a bit about that, about how it works and how it benefits your customers.
Yeah, so I guess kind of in the same way as John, the kind of the basic premise was to try and eliminate all of that walking and stuff that the pickers are doing, because as we all know, the warehouses are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and therefore the distances are getting further and further. So that kind of was one of the aspects of it. And then the other aspect, which is hugely important on the AutoStore system, is the density of storage. We don't want bigger warehouses. We want to compact everything together into the smallest footprint available. So, for instance, with an AutoStore, if everything fit on your kind of traditional shelving that would go in an AutoStore, the savings are like 4-to-1 in terms of space. So it's the densest storage system on the market from that point of view. But really, the way that we at Element kind of use the AutoStore system is to try and increase the overall efficiency. So traditional automation in the past, conveyors, shuttle systems, mini loads, all those things, they pouch sorters, they automate a process. So as businesses grow, they go, we need to pick, okay, we need the batch pick to get the throughput then we need to sequence the orders, then we need to sort them, then we need to pick them, then we need to pack. And there's this whole long list of tasks that a warehouse has needed to implement to make it function and get the product out at the end. What we try and do is step back and don't automate processes, eliminate processes. So don't do extra work if you don't need to do extra work. So within the AutoStore itself, we can sequence the order. We can present all of one order together to the picker. So the picker literally picks the item, packs it into the box, and then ships it out the door. There's one touch, one operator. There's no chance for it to get lost on a conveyor, get misrouted, get damaged if the conveyor goes down or anything like that. It's trying to eliminate all these extra steps from a warehouse as much as you possibly can. And to some people, that it's a real sort of challenge in the way that they work, because they're used to that traditional method of, well, we need to do this step. We've always done this step, versus we did do it, but we did it because we couldn't do it any other way. Whereas with the AutoStore and some of the new technologies, you don't need to do that anymore. And it allows you to be more flexible than traditional automation, which a lot of companies over the past 18 months, 2 years have seen. They've set up automation maybe for a retail environment, moving pallets, moving large volumes, and it works fantastic for that. But then e-commerce has come and it's hit them. COVID has hit them with spacing and staffing and all those things. And it can't flex. The system can't cope with that because it's not built. Whereas with an AutoStore, it's built to be flexible. So you want to do a completely different process. You want to go from picking large volume batch picking to picking single individual orders, where it's the exact same piece of kit, doing the exact same set of tasks. It's just what we're presenting to the operator is different. So it allows businesses to be very, very flexible, even at different times of the year. So peak might be operated different to the time that we're in now, because the volume is not at that level where it is. So a lot of it is around trying to eliminate wasted processes and optimize the ones that you are doing, so that you're getting the absolute maximum out of the people that you have got, rather than needing another 30, 40 people to make the operation run at all.
Are there restrictions, Gavin, on the dimensions of the items that the AutoStore can pick?
Yeah. So obviously all the AutoStore items need to go in a tote. So if it doesn't fit in a 600 by 400 tote, then I would shake your hand and walk away, because it just doesn't fit. And then within that, there are certain, they're not rules, but certain things that we'll tell customers that implement that as well. So if I can't fit 3 items in a bin, then I would suggest to that person that maybe that shouldn't go in a bin as well. Because if you're only picking 1 item from the bin and then I've got to replenish 1 item to the bin, then it's just as quick to pick it from a pallet or pick it from a different medium. So AutoStore isn't good in those environments where you're picking medium to larger parts. It works really well in the small parts. So apparel and fashion, health and beauty, cosmetics, all those kind of things work really, really well, as well as sort of like groceries and food and those things. But yeah, it's all around that small parts picking.
What about, because it's a whole new framework structure as well within the warehouse, does that put a lot of pressure on companies wishing to implement quickly?
It depends. It depends on the company. So a lot of customers that we help are trying to avoid moving out of the building they're in currently. They don't want to take on a new rent. They don't want the extra leasing and things. Those customers, yes, it can be more difficult because they've probably filled that warehouse. So we've got a clearer space that we can build the system in. So there is always a little bit of a give and take on that kind of situation. If it's going into a new building, then we don't have that concern. In terms of time, it's about 6 to 8 months from contract signing to go live with one of these systems. So it's not the sort of the 2 years that maybe a bigger shuttle system used to be. It is still quite a quick one, not quite as quick as John and the Locusts, but in our world, in terms of building framework and constructing systems of this nature, it is very, very quick to deliver.
But presumably, given its nature, they do need to buy a new WMS, or can you integrate with existing WMS?
No. So in exactly the same way as John and the guys at Locus do, we have so Element Logic has its own proprietary software, which we call eManager, which is a warehouse control system, which again implements directly to the customer's WMS or their ERP. And again, like before, we can work with any WMS within reason, because most of it is done via file transfers and things like that. So maybe some of the really, really basic ones we might have more of an issue with, but in general, we can interface with any WMS as long as we can do a little bit of modifications in terms of where it's sending the files, where we're picking them up from.
Okay, great. Well, I will come back to you to ask you about successful use cases you've had, and also John, but let me just now come to Cecilia. Cecilia, I think, certainly to me, Kenjik is a new name. So perhaps you could tell us how Kenjik is going to revolutionize warehousing around the world. What are you going to do? What are your automation solutions that will make a difference?
Thank you, Paul. Yes, so as a Chinese company, we barely have much existence in Europe now, but we have already got one project in Czech Republic, which is about to get launched. So let me first start with what Kenjik can do and can offer to our local partner or our customers. So as I introduced before, we are a integrator providing the solution and the equipment for automation in the smart logistics and the intelligent manufacture. So like what John has introduced, that their products is mainly the AMR robot for picking, and what Gavin introduced for auto store for the storage solution. So what Kenjik is focusing on is more in a bigger picture. So for example, the customer tells us that I want to build a distribution center with 40,000 orders per day, and then we will design the whole solution for them, from the unloading to the storage to the process of the picking, and then to the order fulfillment, to the consolidation of those orders, all the way to the dispatch of all these orders. So we can do all the design. But we also have our own core equipment. We don't have all the equipment involved in the process like AMR robot or auto store. We have ASRS mini load for the storage. We have all types of conveyors. We have crossbar sorter. We have simulator for the sorting and segregating process. So all of this can also combine together with the support of our vendor to give a full solution to our customers. So if you're asking me about a use case, I think as a Chinese company is very, I should share some of my experience and opinion on the
I'll come back to that, Cecilia. We'll come back towards the end on use cases. I will ask you for one, but I wanted to ask you about, did you say you're going to work with local partners in Europe, or will it all be yourselves managing the projects directly?
Yeah, so the way that we are doing in outside China now is like, even though we are a Chinese company, but we already have many installations outside China, like the Czech Republic I just mentioned, also the South Korea, India, Israel, Turkey, and Thailand, Vietnam, all this country, we have very successful installations for the repeated customers. And we prefer to work with local partner to give a faster response to our customers, because there is 7-hour time lag even for our conversation now. So yeah, if anyone interested in this, we are very happy to discuss more.
Fantastic. But do you manufacture all of your systems yourselves, or are they from other Chinese companies that you work with?
We have our core equipment that we manufacture by ourselves, such as the ASRS, the conveyors, and all types of the sorters. But some other equipment like the rack or like the MR robots, if we need in our solution, we will work with our partners who provide this equipment.
Okay, thank you very much. Now coming on to Jan, tell us about PhotoNear, Jan. I think you've got some very exciting robotic vision technology, right?
Oh yes. So first of all, let me very quickly explain the history. So we started with 3D cameras, and today we are actually #1 vision provider for high-end robotics, and that means also in warehousing. Then we started to develop something we call robotic brain. So that means the entire robotic arm picking engine. And in the meantime, we manufactured our own, developed and manufactured our own robotic feet, mobile robots. And that's how we constructed novel system we call auto picker today. And it consists of these special mobile robots, which in principle they are they would be good to person system, but it's good to robot system, because we are bringing the boxes to the robotic arm. So and this is how we construct fully automated warehouse, in this case fulfillment center, not distribution center. And we already have a few customers in grocery and apparel industries. And yeah, the biggest advantage is really the efficiency of that system. I'm like kind of somehow brave enough to tell that it's simply the most efficient system on the planet, because there's very few people involved. The picking rate of the robotic arm is easily 500 picks per hour. Those mobile robots are extremely flexible, similar to
Have you installed many of these? Yeah, and are they how many projects have you already installed with this?
This is currently we're deploying a third system, so it's still kind of young, but looks like the traction is yeah, probably much bigger than we can handle today. But yeah, I think going back maybe to the topic, today when you take a look at the entire landscape and I mean of lights out warehouses, probably there's just a few of them.
Sure.
And of course we somehow see that coming. It's probably hundreds or thousands of them in upcoming 3 to 5 years. But still, mainly robotic picking is somehow, kind of big challenge. I mean, robotic arm picking, and there's just a few installations, and usually it's more about partnerships between companies, and I feel that we have, very special technological stack where we combine all those capabilities into one end-to-end system.
So are you mainly in these installations partnering with other companies, or just working on your own with them?
At least for now, we usually cooperate directly with the customer. You can imagine with young system, it's always a good idea to have full feedback from the customer and so on. So yeah, we see maybe in a year or maybe 2 we will start to onboard more integrators.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me come back to the wider group and ask. This is a broader question. One of the the big questions of the age is about sustainability, I should say, and carbon emissions and net zero. What can your technology do to assist your customers in that quest? If I start with you, John, coming back to you.
It's a good question, and I'll be honest with you, not many customers ask this in the conversations we have. Obviously,
interesting.
It doesn't seem to be a major focus on the ones we're coming across. I would think it probably is, but doesn't necessarily come up in the in the concept.
What the customers say? What is the main thing customers are looking to? Is it generally speed, efficiency?
Yeah. It's the efficiency. It's increasing their order fulfillment, so being able to manage that efficiently. So
those wider issues haven't become an issue in terms of, as I say, so like sustainability just hasn't come up yet.
No. As the way I'm seeing it, it's not one of their major focuses when they're looking to deploy a system like ours.
Right, and the rest of the panel, you found that as well?
We found it becoming more and more important to our customers. Obviously, because of the way the AutoStore system is designed, there's a lot of plastic in the bins and things, so that's become more to the forefront with the single-use plastics and that kind of thing. And also with our system, everything runs off a single-phase power. So we have a couple of installations where the whole grid, the whole AutoStore is powered by solar panels on the roof. So it is becoming more and more brought up, but it's not the key decision making.
Not the main thing yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Okay, Jan and Cecilia, would you agree with that?
Yes. I think, with the material itself, all the shelving and plastic or cardboard boxes, I think those are some of the questions we have seen. I would add that, it's not directly connected, but maintainability and somehow human access, I think, are somehow connected. That when you build huge infrastructure, shelving, and it's not human accessible, it's somehow problematic. And I feel that mainly long term, what will exactly happen with that system in 10 to 20 years? It's like 100 ton of steel, and what we will do now. So I think still having human accessible and reusable spaces, it's somehow important for the future and sustainability.
Okay, thank you. Cecilia, would you agree with that?
Yeah, so for us, it's also more or less the same with the rest of the team. Because if the customer wants to have a warehouse, then of course they will care about how long I can use this warehouse for. So like the AutoStore or like our ASRS, customer is very much concerned how long the system can serve them without breaking or without the need to replace. But for them currently, it's more important that what is the efficiency and what is the capacity that the system can bring to them. And for example, in the logistics industry, customer mostly purchase the automation to handle a huge tons of package, let's say 20 or 40,000 pieces per hour. Then they are acquiring this system to solve their current problem. And this industry is developing so fast that it's very difficult even for them to predict what will happen in the next 3 years. So they care more about the sorting capacity as well as the reliability of the system. Because for the e-commerce or logistics industry, their machine is basically working 24/7. It cannot stop. Once customer places an order, they want to get it right away. So the system being stable without breaking, that they care more.
Thank you. Can we talk a bit about machine learning, data, AI, big subjects? What sort of role do they have to play going forward? John?
Well, I think I touched on earlier on our continuous improvement program.
Yeah.
And data is vital to be able to improve the fulfillment of the operations of the customer. The better quality data that we have, the more efficient operation will be. It allows us to monitor and use that data to be able to serve the need of the customer and obviously suggest improvements in their operation and their business. One of the key things with Locus is we give a suite of dashboards with information real time, where the customer can actually see where the picks, associates and bots are within their warehouse at any one time. That allows them to make immediate decisions. So if you've got a lot of picks coming into a certain area of the warehouse, the robots can swarm into that area and they can get more pickers in that area to be able to fulfill their picking over a shorter period of time. But that can only be done with data and transfer between customers, WMS and Locus. And with that info, the customer can make some informed decisions to improve the operation going forward.
Okay, thank you. Gavin, what would you say about your solutions and the role of machine learning, data analytics, etc.?
Okay, it was Gavin. Sorry.
Sorry, Gavin. Yeah, obviously, as John everything John's just said is 100% correct. The more data you have, the more data you have access to, the more informed your decisions can be. And it's exactly the same on our side. If we know a lot more work's going, we can visualize and say, look, because we normally, when we supply a solution, we'll break it down into picking categories. So you can see how many orders are in that category. Well, okay, we need to put some more people picking that category, less doing goods in, for instance, whatever. So it allows you to balance that. On the kind of the machine learning side of things, obviously that's kind of the industry 4.0. That's the next thing, is the ability for it to learn without us having to look at dashboards and things and say, you need more people over here, you need more people over there. And that's still getting there. And that's the thing that we found with like picking robots and things like that is just the simple ingenuity of the human brain to look at something and go, this is how I'm going to handle that. For instance, when it comes to like picking, if you're looking at something, 99% of people, you don't think about how you pick up your mobile phone. You wouldn't think about how you would pick up a t-shirt or anything like that. But for a robot or something of that nature, it has to think about it. It has to, and it hasn't quite got to that point. It's starting to get there. I can see Jan shaking his head that it's getting there, but that's the next step. Once it can do that and it can, without thinking in the same way a human can, that's when we really kick off into the lights out warehousing and the picking from that side of things, that we don't need to tell the robot in advance what's turning up. We don't need for them to know this is going to be a box of iPhones that's turning up. You just present a bin and it goes, oh, okay, well, I'm going to grab it like that. And that's the next big step. That's the step that we're working on next. And I'm sure a lot of other people are as well. So
what date should we put in our diaries for when that will be ready?
So
we're going to hold you to this, Gavin.
Wow. So we've got a couple of installations of picking robots. So we partnered with a company called Right Hand Robotics, who do a lot of the kind of the vision things and stuff that Jan and his team sounds like they're doing as well. So we've got 3 installations of that live, but it still is a long process of doing pickability tests, checking the product. So I would say it's probably over the next 18 months, 2 years, it's going to start becoming more and more into the full. Yeah, because the hardware is there now and the vision systems are starting to get there. It's getting those use cases. In the UK, we're very good at following other people because we've seen the successes. We're not so great at being the first one to take that risk and implement that solution. So as more and more people get to grips with, yes, it works, it's reliable, it does what we think it does, the bandwagon is going to get very full very quickly, I think.
Thank you. Okay, Jan, I know you've got some interesting views on this. What do you think?
I totally agree. It's one of the biggest challenges really, and the machine learning is a huge part of it. We have big AI team. One of the founders is leading that one. You can imagine for us it was probably 4 years of development. Today we can tell that right away, without any special training, when we see new grocery customer, we achieve something like 99 point something, let's say 5% first pick attempt accuracy. For ambient segment, something like 85% of portfolio of those items, I mean, which is, that was a very long sentence, but I just want to tell that we know exactly what to do with a new customer. What is really great that all the previous experience help us, and mainly the machine learning model can generalize to unseen items. This is really the breakthrough that was not possible 5 years ago. This is the big one, and that's why we hope that we will scale very quickly. I would not be other way around. Simply, it's a very holistic problem. You have to have perfect gripper, perfect machine learning model, all the assumptions. So really the complexity is in the entire stack. When you would have perfect 3D camera, we have almost perfect 3D camera, but that would not be enough. You need really perfect gripper, perfect machine learning model, and so on and so on. So it's still not simple, I would tell that yes, in upcoming, let's say 18 months, we see that we are, deploying, tens, maybe even more warehouses, let's say 50 of them. And I'm pretty sure that we are able to handle something like 85% of items, I'm pretty sure. And what is also important that we have, a special system telling if this is robot pickable. And because, our system is mobile robot based, for us, it's not so simple to just steer the bin to the human picker or, do any other adjustment into the system. So yeah, just to recap, machine learning, it's really enabler of lights out warehouses. I think it's probably the main essence today, because all the other technologies, they are here, over maybe even like 10 years, but this is something new and accessible, available today.
Incredible, thank you. Okay, I did promise earlier to say to everybody, give us a use case where your technology's worked, or a customer example, or a mini case study. So let me give you all the opportunity to do that. Shall I start with you, Cecilia, because you haven't spoken for a while?
Thank you. It's very interesting to hear all the expertise people to discuss about the development of the logistics in Europe. And for Kendrick, we are also very interested, and we believe that we are able to contribute quite a lot for the future lighthouse warehouse, for the whole process, the system designing, the scope of the core equipment, software and everything. And then, so take a very simple example for the Chinese e-commerce and logistics industry, because this, most people should be are aware how crazy this two industries has been in the last few years in China, and also this trend is picking up around the whole world now. So even simple data, in 2021, this year, in the first 5 months, the package number has exceeded 40 billion, which means averagely every day there are 266 million packages circulating in this country. So this has brought huge challenge to the automation of the warehouse for those e-commerce and logistics companies. So what we have done to this is we provided a whole new set of the solution to help our customer to increase the speed and to reduce the time that the package is circulating in the warehouse. So for example, starting from the unloading, we use the telescopic belt conveyor, which can extend into the lorry and to help with the loading and unloading process. So as a result, after utilizing this machine, the loading and unloading time has been reduced to 1/3 than before. And then after that, we'll segregate different package types, such as there are some mixed bags that needs to be opened and the small parcels needs to be taken out and sorted. And also there are some transfer bags that does not need to be opened, and also some non-conveyable package that needs some special handling. So after that, we will use the high-speed cross-belt sorter with the capacity from 10,000 to 40,000 pieces per hour, depending on the capacity required at the site, to do the sorting for those parcels into around like 200 destinations or even more. And then sometimes the secondary sorting is also required because the destination that the customer wants is just too much, because there are so many people here in China, and we are also doing a lot of overseas orders. We're sending the Chinese products all around the world. So that is happening. And then after that, we'll consolidate all of this in the dispatch area. But again, a next sorting process is required to sort all the newly created bags into different transportation routes, so that the lorries can take them and send it to the customer for the last mile delivery. So this whole solution we have designed and we have promoted to our customer, and we have very successfully utilized in a lot of sites for our customer in many countries. So for this, the customer, and usually it takes us more than from 6, in China it's last time, 3 to 4 months to complete the whole project. But okay, for outside China, it will usually take more like 6 to 7 months. But even with this long time, customer is very willing to give us this time to complete it, because they have already experienced and they know that how much benefits our system can bring to them, because this has helped them to reduce the labors in their warehouse in a very large quantity and has literally increased the sorting capacity.
Thank you, Cecilia. That's brilliant. The numbers are absolutely mind-boggling in China, to be honest. John, let me come to you next. Give us a use case.
Well, if anybody wants to jump onto the locusrobotics.com website, there'll be information on there. But I'll talk to you about one of our biggest customers in the UK, Boots, which will be a household name for most people. They started using Locus about 2 years ago. They had various different solutions currently. And one of the things was staffing levels. They had a huge problem, needed 90 to 100 staff a day. And a lot of them were agency, so they were bringing them in every day. With our system, they can train them up to pick within about 15 minutes. So it was, before taking a day or so to get people up to speed. We increased their productivity by over 2 times. So, and last peak, they were doing about 100,000 items a day. So it was a big level pick. And also for their point of view, health and safety was a big thing for their workforce. And they had some issues previously, which, over the period of using us, they've had nothing. So again, there's various other areas in which they've benefited and, and cycle times and different things. But generally, they've increased their productivity and their ability to get goods out the door.
Very clear story. Thank you for that. Gavin, let's come to you next. Give us a use case from Element Logic.
Yeah, so we have a lot of use cases in kind of different environments, different things, but a lot of our use cases and the ones where we hang our hat and we've been the most successful are in the kind of the e-commerce environment. So I'm currently on site in Manchester, putting in a system that is going to be picking 500,000 units a day. And to do that, they only need 56 members of staff, which compared to a lot of other technologies is a vast reduction in the number of people to pick, pack and ship all those orders. In terms of other use cases, we have use cases kind of in the pharmaceutical environment, where more like the lights out environment you're talking about, where they have an operator that puts the goods into the bin at the induct station, but then it's sorted by a robotic picking arm. It's put away by the auto store robots. It's presented to ports by the auto store robots, and then picked again by a robot into the outbound carton, which is taken on a conveyor via a packing machine, and all done out of that. So the labour there again is a very small percentage of what was needed before. So I think it's about a quarter of the workforce was needed because of the lights out automation element of it. There's loads across Europe. We have 190 sites, and a lot of them we have sort of case studies and things on our website. So I would say if you're looking for a more industry specific one, I would head to there and you'll be able to find one that within that sector that will give you a bit more information. But yeah, there's a couple of ones off the top of my head.
No, that's great. Thank you, Gavin. Jan, what about anything that you can provide? I know you wanted to talk about micro fulfillment. We may not have enough time for that, but maybe you can weave both together and give us the same answer.
Yep, perfect. Yep, thank you. Yep. So one of the use cases is grocery micro fulfillment for e-grocer, which is, at least for us, kind of ultimate fulfillment system, because you can imagine there's a lot of other aspects you have to handle, expiry date and sequencing and other things. So we are very happy, and mainly we see that the traction is very strong, and when you really calculate number of picks happening in grocery, it's kind of probably much bigger than anything else. So yeah, we are looking forward to deploy more and more. Here we automated 3-level mezzanine. One is manual, and 2 of them are fully automated. And it's mostly the ambient segment for now, but we are they are.
We're going to see a lot more of this. We're going to see a lot more of this, right?
Yeah. I think that there's kind of huge push from Q-commerce companies. I think everybody has seen it, and still, in principle, e-grocery is steadily growing. And when you really imagine that what people are doing when they are shopping, I mean, retail shopping, replacing all those people picking with automation, it's, kind of big challenge. And also it's a big challenge for grocers to have profitable system, I mean, profitable entire chain, so that means fulfillment and last mile delivery. So efficiency is super, super crucial. I think it's even more crucial than any other e-commerce we have seen. It's one of our focus areas. And yes, maybe just the last sentence, I wanted to tell that all of this was developed in stealth mode. And that's why, you cannot easily find some information on our website. But please feel free to reach our booth at the conference, and we will be available all the time to directly chat with you and your use cases.
Thank you, Jan. We're pretty much out of time, but I've got one last question for everybody, maybe sort of quite a quick response each. What advice would you give, tip would you give to a new customer starting out, looking to automate, looking to overhaul their systems, starting with you, John?
Wow, $1 million question. And there's probably no right answer, but certainly reach out to us, talk to us. As was said, come on to the booth and chat to us. Really come to us with the information, what they're looking to do. We'll support them in the project. We'll support them with the solution. Give them the use cases and the ideas on what can be done in a current facility or even in a new facility. So really it's reaching out, talk to us, and we'll support them in the process.
Okay, thank you. Cecilia?
Yeah, thank you. So as a Chinese company doing the overseas market, I have faced a lot of bias. But luckily, I think in Europe, this will not be there. So for anyone who is interested in doing the automation for your warehouse or for your distribution centers or your sorting centers, just don't hesitate to contact us. You will be surprised what a good Chinese company can bring to you. Thank you.
Great way to finish. Thank you. Jan?
Yeah, I would say that I would recommend people to really embrace, somehow entire digital world and automation. It's super important, the mindset of those people. And second, I would tell that it's very important that people do, like a proper exploration and choose wisely. Because today, the entire market is, there's a lot of solutions and usually there's the right one, either you want to optimize density, you want to optimize throughput, you want to optimize latency. So I think it's very important that logistics managers really dig deeper and choose wisely.
Time spent in reconnaissance is seldom wasted. That's what they say, isn't it? Gavin, you finish for us.
Oh, the big demand to finish. Apart from the obvious, come and have a chat with us. I think what people need to do, they need to be bold. Don't try and copy what other people have done. Don't look at what automation's like at that. Step back, look holistically at the whole thing. What do you want to do? And then, as Jan says, go out and investigate, because there's a lot of cutting edge technology out there, ourselves included, everyone on this panel, I think, that will be able to sort of
I think I've lost John.
Rectify the pain points, but you need to look at it from a holistic point of view and just take it from there, and then dig down into the detail at a lower level after that.
Thank you, Gavin. We did lose you for a bit, but I think we got the gist of it. We're at the end of time. Thanks to everyone for your incredible insight. John from Locus Robotics, Cecilia from Wenjik, Gavin from Element Logic, and Jan from Photonea. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Paul.